What's up, everybody? Welcome to my shop, the Nitro Garage. Let me give you a little backstory on what's going on. My name is Dustin. This is my dad's old shop. He's been running it since '94. I took it over roughly 5 years ago, learning the trades more, doing everything I can do. I've been building cars with them pretty much my whole life, but professionally, I've been doing it for the last 4 to 5 years and actually been really taking care of this business for the last 3, I would say. My dad's pretty much done retired. You'll see him later on in the video. He is actually coming back with my mom from Arizona from the Good Guys show. He brought his 56 out there, which you'll also see. I'll give you kind of a shop tour about the builds he's been doing and what's going on. You know, he's got some stuff in here he's been really working on a lot on, and then before I came in, and then I'll show you some of the stuff that I got going on. But right now I'm going to get out my project, which I believe is a 67 or 68 Opel Cadet, Rally Cadet. We got this in a couple cars. We got this one for free when we picked up a couple other cars because the guy was just gonna trash it. So I was like, well, shit, let me, I'll take it. The guy was gonna make it into a straight axle car, but I got a way different plan for it. I'm actually gonna be doing a full wide body kit that I'm making myself. And so I actually built my own frame, cut down a 4-link setup, got a Dutchman rear end in there. Yeah, this thing's gonna be all airbagged, laid out on the ground with about a 4.5 to 5.5 over body. So we'll see how that goes. But right now I gotta get this out of here and I gotta work on one of my customers' cars out here, which is a 67 Volkswagen. It's got a little bit of rust repair that I gotta do on it. He's the second owner on it. I really would like to keep it in the family and keep it going and all that. So we're gonna go ahead and take care of that. So this is going to be a mixture of time lapses and cutting in and out. Please let me know what you guys think and what you guys feel down in the comments, and let me know what I can do better. Because again, this is my first video. This is my first attempt at all this stuff and everything, you know. But I'm gonna go ahead and start getting my project out, wheel it in here and get it up on the lift. And then when I do that, I will get up in there and start showing you where all the rust is and what I'm going to be doing and all that. But right now I'm gonna go ahead and start getting this out, cleaning up a little bit, doing my thing, get everything arranged. I'll show you the parts I got and all that. Now that we got the car up on the lift, now I'm sitting on my trusty little Viper swinging chair around here, we can go ahead and actually talk about what is going to be happening to this project. This is for one of our good customers, Jeff from Hubie's Garage. He actually turned me on to doing this whole YouTube thing. He came by earlier last week and dropped off some parts. And when he comes back out, we'll introduce him again and all that, and I'm sure you'll see him. But let me go ahead and show you what is actually going on here. This is the outer panel, and then this right here is the actual inner panel, inner cowl of the actual car. You can actually see inside there. I don't know if you can see good enough in there, but you can see in there. And then this right here is a crunchy little vent tube that connects to this piece, which I'll show you on the other side. Is a pan that goes on the bottom of the Volkswagen, which goes to the back, which I'll show you in a little bit too when I'm showing you the rest of this we're doing back there. It feeds heat through here, and then inside here there's these little vents that you can close off or open up for your feet. And then if you don't want them on your feet, you close them and it goes up to here, and I believe up to the dash. So I'm gonna have to basically cut all this out. Once I get this wheel off, I'll show you the panel he brought me. Cut all this out, which has this bolt in it, which is amazing because it's easy for me to locate. It goes to here, and all the way down into here, which I don't think I'm gonna be really using. I think I'm probably just gonna use this enough that I need. I'm gonna have to scrape all this out and see what's behind here. Obviously, I'm not sure if that'll be on the time lapse or not. I'm pretty sure it's just gonna be something like I just showed you this, you know what I mean? This is done, you know, unless you guys wanna see it. But let me show you the other side because it gives you a little bit better view of what it's supposed to look like. So here you can see this is that pan or that box that I was talking about. And again, you can see right inside there, it goes straight into the car. So we're gonna have to build this piece and then this piece. And I talked to the customer, and he's really not really too worried about it being completely stock. He just wants it functional. So we're just gonna pretty much just panel it up, get it to work. Yeah, that light went down. Get it to function, get the tube in there correctly to where it feeds the heat up and down. You know, and I like to ask the customer because I can do it either way, realistically. But this is what I think would be the best option and the cheapest option. And so let me show you the panels that we got for that, though. This is the panel, and this is the back side of it, actually. And I believe this is the outside of it. So when it comes up here, it sits like this. And again, we're not gonna be using all of it. I'm gonna mark off how tall it is and all that so I can know where to cut into, because once I cut into this, I might see more damage down inside here, so I might have to keep going, or I might have to keep going up higher. But as I said, you know, I'll mark off exactly where it goes first so I know I don't cut too high. But so that's that part. So I got it all scraped up and all that right now, and what I'm doing is basically fitting this up like I did earlier. And it's never gonna fit perfect, especially with these type of bolts in it, because it's hanging off. You can see there's an edge and all that, and stuff's not cut out, you know, which is totally fine. But what I noticed right off the bat is there is a space right here, okay, and there isn't right here. So when you hold this up, for the average builder, you know what I mean, that thinks this is supposed to be just like a, you know, snap and play type panel. They never really are, and my dad always tells me that these things always need to be trimmed or always need to be fitted somehow, and you don't always need to use the full panel. So you can, this is a perfect example right here, that this right here, if you cut all this out, you would have to make this piece to fit that. Before I start cutting this, I also got a note really quick. Before you cut any type of panel out or anything floor related or car related or anything, make sure there's not a braced up or a load bearing type of panel. You can clearly see inside here there's another panel that goes up and connects everything, and then none of the else of this is coming out, so this little piece isn't gonna matter. But if you're taking this whole fender liner out, you know what I mean, redoing the whole thing, then you might want to brace in the front, you know, frunk is what they call it, I guess. But this little piece, you know, it's so much structure is attached to it, it's not gonna make the body twist or anything like that. But like on something like mine, we have to, you know, strengthen it up and make sure it's all in line and all that. So, but let me go ahead and get to this. Alright, so now we're inside the car. I'm going to go in here and get some of this carpet ripped out of the way. He's not going to need any of this, really. We all redone and all that. When he had the interior done, the guy that was doing the interior and the headliner and everything, I guess, let his son, you know how that happens, do the work on it, and did a little damage on the roof. We'll show you that a little later too, but we all learn somewhere, you know, it all happens. It is what it is, you know what I mean, to be honest. So you can see here now, this is the vent that I was talking about. I don't know exactly what this tube is, but I gotta be really careful that I don't burn it or mess with it. If I can get it out, that'd be great. But this is all the area that I'm talking about that I gotta redo and fix. This panel right here is the inside one. That one right there is the tube. That's the inside panel, and this is the panel that I said I'm gonna connect the two together. So I'm thinking cutting this out like this and around, rebuilding this piece, building the tube inside, and then going out and fixing the rest. Because remember, the new panel will be all this inside here, well, out there. This piece I gotta redo. As you can see, it's a little bent. And then the same thing on this side too, as you can see, with the hole coming through. But this side is not half as bad as that side, so that's why I'm starting with this one first, so I can get a real good idea on what's what and how I'm supposed to be taking care of it. So I have made a little mistake. I thought this was actually sealant, but it's actually a weld. If you look, my light dies, about to die, but that's all weld. So I'm gonna have to just cut right along the side of that, grind that down, and then get this panel, this one that I'm flexing on, out. But my light just died. I'm gonna put this on the charger right now. My parents are almost here. I'm gonna change the battery in this really quick too, and then yeah, next thing you'll see how that'll be all cut out. All right, I'll see you in a little bit. All right, so now you can see that I got the back side of this open. You can see how rusty it is and everything, and how bad it was down here. So you can see why I had cut it all out. Now you can also see behind here how bad this one is, and this is the part that I was actually talking about. I'm just gonna cut it straight across and down right here like that, and maybe just leave it, or I might actually build in another plate and then another plate. But we'll see how that goes. Next step I'm gonna do is I'm going to cut a long line here and actually peel this up so I can actually get this tube off and see what's below that. But let's get to that. Okay, so now you can see the heater panel that comes across the rocker panel and into the tube that I got to replace. Now, this is the other part that was coming off of this one, which is like another inner rocker and goes up and around. It's just layers and layers and layers on these cars. That's how it goes. Now you can see right here, here's one layer, and then here's one layer. So what I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna end up fitting some type of tube on this somehow. I'd like to weld it, but I'll probably maybe seal it somehow and then connect the tube to it after I get all this built. But my next step is I'm gonna clean all this up and then go in there and look at how much of this I really can cut off, or if I need to actually build this piece and then this piece. But then also I still need to check on this side over here, which I'm going to get my grinder out right now and grind this down to see if this is really bad or not. And yeah, no, that's coming out too, guys. All right, let's get that out now too. All right, so now you can see that I cut the rest of this out, and this is that part that I was talking about I was gonna cut up and straight down. You can see that the bolt is still very, very sturdy, and it's still attached to everything, and it's attached up in here still very well. So I'm still debating if I want to replace this or just cap it off and make it there. I'm thinking I'm probably gonna remake it, but we'll go from there, I guess, from right now. My next step is I'm gonna be making a pattern for both of these up and around for this inside, so I can actually get it squared away, and then I'm gonna try to figure out that next tube. But let me go ahead and get some paper and some scissors out and start making a template for you guys. Okay, so now that I got kind of a rough shape of my paper, I'm basically just gonna pick a point, which is gonna be over here, that I can hold it to, and I'm gonna follow this body line around to the shape of all this. If you have magnets, this is the best time to put them on there, so you don't gotta keep holding it, but sometimes they get in the way also. So I just like to hold it here like this, and then as you can see, it contours around, but you can't press in here, so you gotta press where it holds. Now, if you wanna make this line, because you can see there's a line that I need to make, what I like to do, and my dad's always told me to do, is when you hold your pattern up there, press along the line with your finger on the paper, and it'll actually make a line. I'll show you how that actually is right now. This is just an old school way of making patterns if you don't have a crazy computer like all these guys do nowadays and stuff, you know. But so you just take it, push it in really hard, kind of just bend it around the bend, get a rough estimate on where it goes and down. And you can see, you got a nice line that you can actually make that I'll draw in. You can see. Sometimes they're a little harder to see when you draw them in, but now I'm gonna cut that out a little fat. Always cut it fat, and then you can whittle back, even though it's cardboard. All right, so now you can kind of see somewhat of the shape in cardboard or particle board, I think is what it's really called. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to mark out the bend lines where these are on here, and then transfer this to a piece of 18 gauge sheet metal that I can kind of fold and bend around and get in here to fit. But now that I have a rough estimate, I can mark this line, cut it a little bit fat like I did the cardboard, and then just whittle it down and make it fit this line and down, straight up and down from here and then around. But it'll be a lot easier to do it because this is really flimsy, but we'll go from there from now. So let's go to that. All right, so now that you got your scrap, you're gonna wanna mark out where these bend lines are, so you know where to start from. But then basically what I like to do is I like to try to keep the straightest line possible. It's just easier for me to start off that way. So I pick one line, I pick another line, if I can, out of the scrap. Take a magnet so it doesn't move, and just lay it out. Basically just trace it. And then remember, when you cut it, cut on this side of the line. Always leave some of the line there so you can whittle it back little by little, because stuff changes and you never know what cardboard versus this is actually going to be. But go ahead and we'll show you how to cut that out. Okay, so there's a few different ways of doing sheet metal work. There's no wrong way as long as you get to the same result. That is a good result and a good clean result. But I'll explain some of the different ways that there is. There is a butt weld, where you butt the two together and weld it and fit it completely. There's a step weld, where one of these gets in that little step and it gets tucked behind and welded. And then there's the technique of butt welding, but the way you get to butt welding. You can either form it, you know, as thin as it is now and form it to it and make it work, or you would have something a little bit bigger and a little bit longer, so it'll go from here down to here, and you would drill a hole through both of these to hold it in place and then make a cut to the two lines go together. Me, I have found
when I do that, my line gets a little too big, especially for sheet metal. So I like to try to just keep it as close as possible. As you can see, it's literally just gonna sit right inside there. I just need to figure out where the bend is. So now I can see that this is working there and there. I just need to get it to fit all this. So I'm gonna be taking care of that right now with the grinder, and just slowly but surely kind of whittling that piece down. So you can see now it's basically just fiddling and messing with it. I got this line basically where I want, a little more trimming right through here, but it's basically lining up where I need to be here. I'm gonna fix this piece down here, and then this is gonna be cut back and filled in through here. But again, all this is gonna be covered, and the customer really doesn't worry about it being officially stock, just wants it functional. So I'm gonna keep just trying to straighten this piece out and this bend out and make it work. So I'll do a little trimming here, and get it to see if I can get it to just lock into there just a little bit better. So we'll get to that right now. Alright guys, so that does it for that panel, I would say. It's gonna need a little more fine tuning as I'm welding it in, you know, as all metal does, you know, a little tweak here, a little tweak there, a little fold here, fold there. But it's pretty much where it needs to be and the shape it needs to be. As you can see, it's in there pretty tight. You know, like I said, it just needs to be a little messed with a little bit here and there, but it'll weld in nicely. It'll grind out nicely and all that. So then my next step is basically do the same thing, but it's going to be a 90 from all the way down here up and then in, and I'm going to be welding that from that side, and then we're going to go ahead and cap this over and finish this inside. And then remember, this panel and all the rest of it is the outer cowl panel that Jeff brought over for me last week. So but from there, we're gonna go ahead and start taking care of this part next, and then we're gonna figure out this tube, get all that together, run the heater tube down inside, and then we'll take care of the outside, and then we gotta do the exact same thing to the passenger side. All right, guys, see you in a little bit.